You've heard that the observer creates reality, that when you put your attention on something, the universe collapses the infinite possibilities into a concrete, material, visible line. And that gave you power, or at least it seemed to. You started observing everything, feelings, signs, vibrations. You began to measure your words, watch your thoughts, police your reactions, all in the name of perfect collapse, all in the name of correct manifestation. But something started to hurt, not in the body, in frequency. It was a subtle, almost imperceptible feeling that the more you tried to vibrate right, the further away the desired reality seemed to become. The more you monitored the field with spiritual attention, the more the field fell silent, as if waiting for you to stop looking. And this is where the paradox begins. Yes, the observer collapses reality, but the observer who thinks too much, feels too much, watches too much. Because it is not your attention that manifests, it's your state. And when attention becomes vigilance, when intention becomes anxiety, when focus is mixed with fear of not being able to, the universe freezes. He is not resisting you, he is reflecting you. The field responds to what you are silently, not to what you say out loud. He is not moved by his declared desire. It bends to your base vibration, to what you feel when no one is looking, when you stop trying to vibrate right and just exists. But the problem is that you don't stop, because you think that if you stop, everything will fall apart, that if you are not constantly present, everything will slip away. It's as if the miracle needed your active gaze, as if it were a child that you need to watch over all the time so that it doesn't do something stupid. But quantum collapse is not a child. He is an intelligence that works better in your absence. And that hurts the ego. It hurts the identity that believes it needs to make everything happen. You've been trained to believe that life rewards you when you're present. But what if the universe could only act when you are absent from control? What if the real collapse didn't happen because you are watching, but when you forget you're watching? What if collapse isn't something you do, but something you allow when you stop trying to provoke? This is the beginning of the thread, the fine line between presence and surveillance, between consciousness and obsession, between co-creating and controlling. As long as the observer is an instrument of tension, the field will freeze. Because the universe, contrary to what you were taught, doesn't want to see you at the center of everything. He wants to pass by you freely, no resistance, no expectation, no editing. And this is only possible when you truly understand that your greatest power is not in observing with intensity, but allow it lightly. You didn't realize when it started. It was subtle. First, an idea here and there, then an exaggerated attention to what he felt, what he thought, what he said. I need to keep myself in a high vibration. I can't complain, it delays my demonstration. If I doubt it, I block the field. And without realizing it, you became someone who never rested, not on the outside, on the inside. His mind, once a tool, was now a constant radar, an emotional control tower, monitoring every internal nuance as if any deviation meant loose alignment. You didn't think to expand, you thought to protect yourself. And this is where the quietest trap of the new era is born. The belief that thinking right is co-creating right, that controlling each internal frequency is synonymous with being in command. But behind this obsession with vibrational surveillance, there is something no one told you. This mind that never turns off is not co-creating, it is trying to survive. Because constant thinking, even positive thinking, is not faith. It's fear disguised as light. It's anxiety dressed in new clothes. You wake up and are already checking how you feel. You talk and you are already evaluating whether you are emitting scarcity. You live, but you live like someone walking on energetic eggshells, afraid of ruining everything with a wrong thought. But who told you that the universe is so fragile? That your reality can be canceled by a second of doubt? That your soul is so powerful to create, yet so vulnerable to slipping? This kind of spiritual vigilance is just a continuation of the same old pattern, what you need to deserve to receive. Before, it was obeying external rules. Now it is obeying high-frequency internal commands. But the weight is the same. The charge is the same. The silent pressure to be okay all the time makes you a slave to a type of spirituality that is not free. It just changes the chains. And that gets tiring. It's deeply tiring, but you follow because your mind says it's just a little more. When it collapses, it will all be worth it. I need to persevere a little longer. But the more you insist, the more exhausted you become, because your energy, your intention, your attention are all being sucked away by the idea that you have to do it right all the time. And when everything doesn't come, when the collapse doesn't happen, you don't blame the field, you blame yourself. Did I think something was wrong? Did I close myself off that day? Did I block everything out with that fear? This vibrational self-accusation is what most blocks collapse, because the universe does not respond to the perfection of your technique. He responds to their real internal state. And in that state, what vibrates is not trust. It's exhausting. It's fear of failure. It's chronic hyperattention. It is the attempt to replace surrender with spiritual effort. But the field is not an obedient child that acts when you are looking. He is a subtle intelligence that only moves when you release your gaze. You think you need to stay focused all the time, but it is precisely this constant focus that impedes the flow. Because thinking too much is not being conscious, it's being anxious. It is trying to control the mind, which can only be accessed through the space between thoughts. And it is in this space, this blind spot between one thought and another, that the collapse forms. Not in the noise of your vigilance, but in the silence of his trust. The collapse doesn't need your constant attention, need your loving withdrawal. It is the moment when the mind bends, in which thought stops trying to anticipate the movement of the universe. Where do you stop asking yourself, am I vibrating right? And starts to just inhabit the body with the tranquility of someone who already is, and not of those who still need to guarantee it. You say you are vibrating love, but he's clenching his fists inside. You claim that you are ready to receive, but your body, without you realizing it, is bent over in urgency. You write on paper, I am abundant, but your nervous system is in a state of scarcity. It's not that you're not trying, you are, and a lot, but that's the point. You are trying to vibrate something that doesn't yet feel true, and the field doesn't respond to what you pretend with conviction. He responds to what you are, even when you're not trying. The universe is not auditory, it is vibrational. He doesn't listen to your statements. It reads the electromagnetic field of your heart, and this field doesn't lie. You can repeat whatever you want. But if the intention behind your practice is, I need this to work soon, so what you actually emit is impatience, distrust, and temporal scarcity. Forced intention has a specific smell, an invisible flavor. She says, I trust, but only while time cooperates. She says, I let go, but she has one eye on the breakdown clock. She says, I am at peace, but her mind is measuring her vibration level every 10 minutes. That is not the intention. It's stressful. It's emotional trading. It is a type of subtle vibrational manipulation. I'll vibrate right, universe, but in return you need to give me what I want. But the field does not make deals with disguised anxiety. He does not negotiate with those who can only be at peace if everything is going well. Because in this case, peace is not vibration, it is currency. You say you are manifesting clearly, but what you're actually doing is take confidence to see if it sticks. And the universe notices, because vibration is not a tool for you to achieve what you want. It is a state of coherence between what you think, feel, and emit. And when there is a crack between these layers, when you think, I'm ready, but feel it hasn't come yet, the collapse finds no anchor point. You can even achieve small results by forcing the vibration. But the real collapse, the one that shifts your reality line, does not happen from energy performance. It only happens from authentic vibrational integration. And integration is not effort. It's internal consistency. It is when the mind, heart, and body, they are not trying to prove anything, are just maintaining the same silence. When you say you're ready, but is still calculating how much is left to arrive, the field feels the delay. Not the delay of the universe, the delay of his own absence. The truth is, you don't have to force the right intention. You need to release the anxiety that is trying to seem intentional. And that requires honesty, the kind you may never have had with yourself. That moment when you take a deep breath and say, okay, I still don't fully trust it. Okay, I still want you to come soon. Okay, part of me is still pushing. And it is at this time, at this raw point of recognition, that the tension begins to dissolve. Not because you thought right, but why did you finally stop pretending? Forced intention creates a field of vibrational deception, but honest surrender, even if imperfect, creates real space. And the universe moves in space, not in energetic action. You don't have to look ready, you need to stop acting. You don't have to maintain unwavering positivity. You need to let the field read you as you really are. And then something changes. Because when the mind stops forcing, the body stops resisting. And when the body stops resisting, the vibration is finally allowed to reorganize itself. Not by force, but for the truth. You have become someone who knows. Do you know what quantum collapse is? Do you know what frequency is? He knows how the subconscious mind works. Morphogenetic fields, vacuum physics. You studied, you applied, you dove in. And at some point, without realizing it, all this knowledge became an internal surveillance system. Each emotion became a variable to be interpreted. Each pain became a message from the field. Every thought became something to be corrected. You believe you are conscious, but it's just observing everything for fear of making a mistake. And this surveillance, disguised as presence, became his prison. You don't feel anymore. You monitor. You no longer live. You evaluate. You don't surrender. You supervise. Because deep down you believe that the universe is too delicate to be left alone. That if you are not vibrating right all the time, something terrible might happen. You don't trust life. You trust in your ability to control life. And that's why, even doing everything right, the collapse does not happen. Because of your presence in the field, it is not a presence of peace. It is a presence of tension, of hyperattention, of micromanagement of reality. It's as if you were the manager of your own manifestation, analyzing emotional reports, correcting subtle behaviors, reformulating beliefs like someone filling out energy spreadsheets. But there is no miracle in this place, because the miracle does not spring from the perfection of spiritual performance. He is born of abandoning the need to control. You think you are taking care of attendance, but it's just feeding a surveillance system that is never satisfied. Because look, you have already cleared traumas, already realigned chakras, already remade scripts. He's done everything. But why then? Do you still feel that you need to do more? Why does the feeling of not enough still appear, even when you've done everything right? It is because this internal system does not want peace. He wants security and safety, for the mind that has been wounded only exists when she is in control. You turned awakening into an advanced survival mode. Now, instead of running away from pain with distractions, you run away from pain with rituals. Instead of hiding in external chaos, you hide in vibrational perfectionism. And this is the spirituality that imprisons. She seems aware, but she is addicted to correcting. She looks elevated, but she's exhausted from trying. She looks complete, but lives in fear of becoming unaligned. It looks light, but it's refined. This is the silent cult of the New Age. The belief that your manifestation depends on being there all the time, vibrating impeccably. But it is not the perfect vibration that collapses realities. It's the true vibration. Authentic, hard, present. And this vibration only emerges when vigilance gives way, when you let go of the need to get it right, when you no longer live correcting your thoughts for fear of the universe punishing you. Because the universe does not punish, he mirrors. And if he continues to deliver you delay, burden, and silence, maybe it's because you're still vibrating self-demand, tension, and fear of failure. It doesn't matter if you know everything. If your base vibration is still one of vigilance, the field will freeze. The universe does not want your spiritual perfection. He wants your energy confidence. And trust cannot be proven. She allows it. You spent so much time trying to think straight, who forgot to observe the space between thoughts. You meditated, breathed, aligned chakras, wrote intentions. He tried to quiet his mind, clear patterns, and raise his vibration. But still, nothing collapses. Or worse, when it collapses, it doesn't hold up. And then naturally you conclude, maybe I'm still overthinking it. Maybe I need to be more silent. Maybe there's a lack of focus, faith, or discipline. But what if the problem isn't how much do you think? What if the problem is how much do you occupy? This is the hidden crack between seekers. the one that doesn't appear in books, courses, or live streams, because everyone talks about raising the frequency, but almost no one talks about it, giving space for the field to act. You learn that presence is power, but no one taught you that there is a suffocating presence, a presence that watches, that controls. Who doesn't trust? You are present, yes, but present as someone who supervises, like someone who fears that if they leave the scene for a moment, everything will fall apart. And that's why the collapse doesn't happen, because the field needs free space to reorganize possibilities, and you filled it all in, with your conscience, with your expectation, with the silent need for everything to happen your way and in your time. Your mind has become center stage, and the universe, wait, hope you retire, hope you unoccupied, hope you trust enough to get out of the way. Imagine the field as a living room, an intelligent architecture. It scans, it feels, it resonates, it adjusts, but he can only move when there is vibrational space for it. And this space, you don't create by trying less, you create by letting go more. Releasing the invading presence, letting go of the need to control timing, letting go of the idea that if you stop supporting, everything falls apart. Because that idea is a lie, the cruelest, one of the most tiring. You are not collapsing, you are preventing collapse by their excessive attempt to ensure that it happens. Your presence, at this moment, it's not a field, it's a blockade. And as hard as it is to admit, it is liberating to see. Because you don't have to eliminate thoughts. There is no need to pretend to be detached. You don't need to become an enlightened nun who feels nothing. You just need to vacate the center. A consciousness that takes up too much space is a consciousness that does not trust. She wants to guarantee, she wants to watch, she wants to predict, but the universe does not move under surveillance. He moves in absence, no vibrational void that only exists when you stop trying to control everything with your mind. The space that collapse needs is not a place without thought. It's a place without resistance. You might think, you can feel it, you might even wish, but if you're trying to take everything in with your eyes, with the tension of expectation, with the fear of getting the frequency wrong, the field feels it and does not enter, because the field does not force passage. He is subtle, delicate, and respect the invisible walls you have erected with your spiritual vigilance. You say, I am present, but what vibrates is, I'm trying not to make mistakes, I'm waiting to collapse, I'm monitoring if it's working, and that occupies the entire field. The universe doesn't want your performance, he wants access. The real question is not, am I vibrating right? It is, am I withdrawing enough so that the universe can vibrate for me? You don't need to leave the body, but you need to get out of the center of the equation, need to allow the field to act without you on top all the time. Why collapse happens and pause, at halftime, at the suspension point, in the absence of love. An absence of love is not indifference, it is vibrational maturity. It's knowing that you've already done your part, and now it is the field that needs space to do its thing. You have clarity, you know what you want. You design the new reality with perfect words, detailed visualizations, impeccable mind maps. You affirm, you write, you meditate. Say every day, I already am. I trust, it is done. But the universe remains quiet, property, on hold, and you start to wonder, what else is missing? Is there still something out of alignment? Do you have any hidden beliefs? The answer is simple. Yes, something is missing, but it's not at the top. It's not in the statements. It is not in the realm of ideas. It's at the base. The collapse does not happen because the field responds to the deepest frequency of your being. And this frequency, it's not what you think when you're conscious. It's what vibrates when you're distracted, when she is exhausted, when you're not trying to vibrate anything. It is your resting vibration, your background field, the invisible cloth upon which all your thoughts dance, and which silently governs everything. This base often does not believe what the top says. The top says, I am worthy. The base whispers, I need to prove myself. The top says, I am abundant. The base vibrates. What if it goes missing again? The top says, I trust in divine timing. But the base vibrates, I'm tired of waiting. And the universe responds to the base. Always. Because the base is what supports the field. It's the unspoken truth. It's the frequency you can't hide even if you try. You can repeat 1,000 times. It's okay. But if your body is tense, if your chest tightens at night, if your breathing shortens when you think about what you want, then the field gets that squeeze, not your pretty phrase. Because the collapse is honest. He does not respond to what is performed. It collapses from what is rooted. That's why so many people do everything right and nothing changes. Because they are operating at the top. While the base continues to vibrate fear, scarcity, doubt, rejection, you say, I want that. But if your base is vibrating, I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I deserve it. I don't know if it's safe, the field locks. It doesn't collapse to protect you from incoherence. Why incoherent reality is guaranteed suffering. True manifestation can only happen when the top and the base are in coherence, when what you say is supported by what you feel, and what you feel is not tainted by distrust. But you can't force that. There's no point in saying, now I'm going to vibrate with confidence, if the base still carries memories, wounds, and experiences that say otherwise. This coherence is not created through repetition. She is created with integration, with the honest act of diving into one's own field and saying, okay, I still feel scared. Okay, I still have questions. Okay, part of me doesn't believe it. And it is at that point of surrender that something begins to dissolve. Not because you thought right, but why did you stop lying to yourself? The vibration doesn't rise when you pretend. It rises when you welcome the base without judgment, and only then does the field begin to reorganize itself. Because now he has a new foundation, a real, raw, present base, and collapse can happen without cracks. The universe doesn't require you to be perfect. He only asks that you be consistent. May your vibration not be divided between declared desire and hidden fear, between spiritual consciousness and fragmented emotional frequency. The base is where the truth lives, and reality collapses to the place where truth resides. Do you want to change reality? Change the base, not with more control, but with more real presence. The one who takes a deep breath and asks, what part of me is still not safe? What part of me still doesn't believe I can have it? And instead of silencing that part, you listen to it. You hold her, you include it, and then everything starts to collapse differently, because now you are no longer divided. You say you are vibrating with confidence, but inside, your soul is still holding my breath, like someone who fears that at any moment everything will fall apart. You think you are manifesting from the present, but actually, your manifestation is still being operated by an old version of yourself, a vibrational identity that was formed long before you knew the word collapse, long before you understood what the field was, long before you knew you could co-create. This identity does not read books, do not meditate, please do not reason. She reacts. She was born at the exact moment you felt the need to protect yourself. In childhood, I won't give up, in rejection, in absence, in comparison, in the unnamed pain. And there in silence she learned, I can't trust not people, not life, not myself. And all she's done since then is try to stay safe, controlling, anticipating, predicting. Avoiding emotional breakdowns, those were real. This identity is what makes you strong, but it's also what keeps you on constant alert. Because she believes that if you don't pay attention, you will lose everything. You'll make a mistake again. It will be left again. You will suffer again. And now, even after waking up, even after studying, even after expanding, this version is still operating its reality beneath consciousness. She is the base. You want to manifest freedom, but vibrates like someone who still can't let go. You want to collapse abundance, but there is still a voice inside you that says, will it end again? You want to co-create love, but still fears, will I be forgotten this time too? This identity is not wrong. It just hasn't been updated. She is still living in 2003 or 1997, or any year the world told her it wasn't safe to trust. And now she tries to use spirituality as another layer of defense, like a luminous shield. As a sophisticated control strategy, she uses beautiful phrases, but the feeling behind it is the same. If I don't control it, I will be hurt. That's why the collapse doesn't come. It's not that the universe doesn't want to give it to you. It's just that this identity hasn't yet been received. She is scared, and fear does not allow space for the new. Fear only allows space for the known, however scarce. But here's the sweetest, hardest truth of this process. The universe does not respond to the identity you want to become. It responds to the identity you are still inhabiting. You can have the best script, the best plan, the best intention, but if the one activating the field is a version of you that doesn't trust, then the field responds to you with delays, repetitions, silences, not for punishment, but for consistency. Why the collapse is a vibrational response to your actual energetic signature, and your signature is made up of who you are being, even if unintentionally. The good news, you can change that identity, but not with effort, not with more control, not with vibrational surveillance. You change that identity with reconnection, with a gentle presence, with the radical act of saying, I know who you are. I know you protected me. I know you felt you had to be on your toes all the time, but now you can rest. And when this version understands that it no longer needs to control, that no longer needs to be predicted, that no longer needs to be ahead of everything, she steps back. It dissolves. She makes room. And the collapse may finally happen. Not because you did everything right, but because for the first time you trusted enough to stop being the one in control. You spent years trying to make it work. Studied, applied, cleared beliefs, activated codes, raised frequency, but all of this was still present. Presence that tried, that observed, that wanted, that monitored. Presence that said, I trust, but I couldn't get out of the center. Now you understand. It's not about thinking less, nor vibrate better, nor understand everything. It's about vacating the field, and that it's almost an internal disappearing act. Not a disappearance that runs away, but a disappearance that frees, that opens space, that says to the universe, I don't need to control this miracle anymore. Why miracles cannot be commanded. Miracle is allowed. The mind, poor thing, doesn't accept this at first. She asks, but if I retire, who will support the attendance? If I don't watch, won't I lose alignment? The answer is disconcerting. You never sustained the collapse. You just stopped it from happening. Because it collapsed is not the result of your effort. It is a response to your vibrational availability. And availability is not excessive presence. It is open space. The absence that transforms it is not giving up. It's delivery. It's you leaving the center, releasing the character who tries, turning off energy surveillance, leaving the field finally cross you. And this absence is radical because she demands to give up the illusion of control. Give up the belief that if you stop watching, everything will fall apart. Give up the idea that the universe needs your constant presence to function. Renounce the identity that felt important for always being in command of the demonstration. When you truly withdraw, something magical happens. The field starts to move without you, but for you, like a garden that blooms in the dark, like a letter that arrives without you having gone to the post office, like a song that starts playing the exact moment you stop singing. The true absence is total openness. It's trusting that the universe knows the way better than your mind. It is giving space for the invisible to organize itself without your interference. And that requires vibrational humility, because there is no performance in this place. There is no such thing as impeccable presence. There is no high frequency. There is silence. Silence that does not wait, silence that does not measure, silence that only and. And the most curious thing, it is in this silence that the field begins to whisper. You feel it in your body and before, in the breath. It's as if the air becomes lighter, as if gravity rearranged itself around you, as if reality finally said, now I can go down. Because you left, and the space was free, free from fear, free from the attempt, free from the old identity that needed to control everything to avoid being hurt. This absence is not an absence of you. It is the absence of a character who operated for protection. It is the absence of the self that did not know how to trust. It is the absence of the effort to deserve, to vibrate, to affirm. And in the absence of all this, the real you emerges. The field always knew who you were, but he could only respond when you stopped trying to be someone. That's the paradox. You manifest more when withdrawn. You collapse faster when you no longer try to collapse, not because he gave up, but why deliver? The absence that transforms is not abandonment. It's energetic maturity. It is knowing that you are already what you desire. That's why you don't need to prove yourself vibrationally all the time. You withdraw and let creation reach you. No rush, effortlessly, unsupervised, just space, silence, love, trust. You spent so much time watching that you forgot what it is just to be. You watched the thoughts, monitored the signals, interpreted synchronicities. He measured the vibration of everything, like someone who needs to prove at every moment that he is on the right path. But now, something has changed. You begin to realize that true trust does not need to be observed. She doesn't look at the field to check if it worked. She doesn't wait for signs, she is the sign. This confidence is not euphoria, it is not an absolute certainty. It is not the absence of fear. She is something else, quieter, more intimate, more real. It is a trust that rests, that doesn't need proof, that does not require evidence, that does not monitor results. She does not observe because he does not doubt. And don't doubt it because you have guarantees. But why choose to trust even without any? This is the confidence that sustains collapse, not the declared, verbalized, asserted confidence at the top of the mind, but trust vibrational, the one that pulses in the field when you are in silence. It is confidence that says, even if I don't see it yet, it already is. Even if I don't know how, it's done. Even though everything seems to be at a standstill, I am at peace. And this peace is not anesthesia, it is sovereignty. It's the end of the character that begs for breakdowns. It is the end of the vibrational child that asks for confirmation to feel safe. You no longer need to watch the field to know it is responding, because now you have become the very frequency that attracts the response. You are no longer looking for signs. You became one. And in that place, everything changes. You start acting differently. No longer reacts to silence. Don't rush through time anymore. No longer negotiate your peace to try to control the invisible, because you know the field is smart. And everything that is yours recognizes you, but it can only collapse when you stop trying to manage the collapse. This is mastery. Trust to the point where you no longer need to observe. Withdraw to the point where you no longer need to watch. Breathe to the point where you no longer need to understand. And when that happens, reality responds in a way the mind could never predict. You enter a new kind of presence, the one who does not interfere. The one who does not accelerate, the one who no doubt. And paradoxically, this absence of effort is the strongest frequency there is, because the field feels. Feel when you trust, feel it when you let go, feel when you finally get out of the way, and when you leave, the miracle enters. Reality collapses, the invisible materializes. Not because you forced it, but why are you allowed? True trust is invisible. She doesn't scream, no proof, don't argue, she just remains. And this remaining, it is not passivity, it is a mature vibrational presence. It is a stable frequency. It is knowing oneself to be one with the field, to the point of no longer needing to ask if he hears you. You know, you feel it, you vibrate, and that's enough.